Chapter 9, Model Building. Now in model building, we're going to use the multiple regression analysis methodology when we have lots of independent variables with which we can do the forecast of the sales. Okay. And we're going to look at some specific situations and how to do model building. So here is an outline. We start off with defining what is called dummy variables, and it's also called indicator variables, and it's very useful for coding variables that do not have numerical values. Usually the independent variables will have numerical values, like if you're trying to forecast sales, maybe the variables of interest would be what is the price of the product or how much advertising dollars you spend promoting the product. So those are numerical independent variables. But what if you have whether you're running a promotion or not? So that's not a numerical variable. Or whether it is sold in a retail store or an online store or a warehouse store. So that's not a numerical variable. So when you have or indicates to what group the observation belongs, then we can use dummy variables to define that. So we'll be looking at dummy variables. And one of the problems with using regression for forecasting is the autoregressive nature of the variable themselves. Okay, one of the things that we assume is the value of the y's, different observations, they are all independent of each other. But that's not the case in when you're looking at forecasting, because we look at historical data, and when you look at historical data, what happens in a particular day will certainly have an effect the following day, or maybe the effect will continue to be felt for few more time periods until it dies off. So this is called autocorrelation. So when you have autocorrelation, we can use what are called autoregressive models. So we'll look at that, and then also look at models where we have regular regression variables, okay, like numerical variables, or dummy variables, as well as the autoregressive variables. Autoregressive variables are, like as I said, so you're using the dependent variable itself as an independent variable with a lag. So that's what autoregressive variables are. So if you want to predict sales, you want to forecast sales based on what the sales has been in the past. So what is the sales previous period, previous to that, and the previous to that, and based on those values you try to predict what the future will be. So more like the time series models in a regression setup. So we look at those. Okay. After that, we're going to look at some concepts that are very particular, the concepts that are very important for building accurate and reliable models. So that, and for that, we're going to introduce a concept called multicollinearity. We'll discuss that. Multicollinearity, for right now, we think of multicollinearity as something bad. And we want to either eliminate multicollinearity or try to live with it in some way or another. Okay? So we'll look at multicollinearity and how to mitigate multicollinearity. And then we have nonlinear models, where if the relationship between the independent variable and the response variable is not a straight line linear or in three-dimension linear, so if it is curved relationship, in many instances what we can do is by doing some transformation, we can take that curved relationship and straighten it up. And then we use regression analysis and predict the sales, and then we can bend it to the previously observed nonlinear fashion. So we'll look at some nonlinear transformations like that. And then there are cases where the model itself is intrinsically nonlinear, meaning that there is no way we can straighten it up. There is no transformation that will make the relationship linear. So in that case, the regular regression analysis breaks down. We cannot use the multiple regression technique that we have been discussing so far. So we have to use well, Excel offers a very unique capability, and that's called solver, and we will be able to make use of the solver capability to overcome this problem of model being intrinsically nonlinear. So these are the topics that we're going to cover in this chapter. So let's get into the first topic, which is indicator variable or dummy variable.